The slap echoed through the crowded diner so loudly that every fork stopped moving. Coffee spilled across the polished counter. A waitress gasped. A young cook froze with his phone still raised in his hand. And sitting on the red leather stool, with tears gathering in his aging eyes and blood slowly forming at the corner of his lip, was an 82-year-old black veteran who had once risked his life for a country that now seemed to have forgotten him. What happened next would leave an entire town speechless. Before we begin, if you believe that kindness, respect, and second chances still matter in this world, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who believes in humanity, and subscribe to Beyond the Verdict for more emotional and inspiring stories. It was a bright Tuesday morning in early spring when Elijah Brooks walked slowly toward Harper's Diner on the outskirts of Richmond, Virginia. The sun was shining, children were waiting for school buses, and the world seemed peaceful. Elijah, dressed in his faded olive green military jacket and carrying his old Navy veteran cap, had followed the same routine every Tuesday for nearly 20 years. He would order a cup of coffee, scrambled eggs, and toast, then sit quietly by the counter while reading the local newspaper. At 82 years old, Elijah moved slower than he once had, but he carried himself with a dignity that age could never erase. He had served his country during difficult times, spent decades working as a mechanic after returning home, and raised his only child alone after losing his wife to illness. Most people who met him never knew the sacrifices hidden behind his gentle smile. What they also didn't know was that Elijah's son, Marcus Brooks, had risen to become one of the most respected leaders in the nation's security apparatus, serving as the director of Homeland Security Operations. But Elijah never mentioned his son's position. He believed respect should never come from power or titles. It should come from humanity. That morning, Harper's Diner was busier than usual. Construction crews filled several booths, families occupied the window-side tables, and local businessman Grant Mercer sat near the entrance, loudly complaining about delays to one of his development projects. Grant was known throughout town for his wealth, influence, and explosive temper. As Elijah carefully settled onto his usual stool, he accidentally brushed against Grant while setting down his cane. A small splash of coffee landed on the expensive sleeve of Grant's designer jacket. The diner became silent. Elijah immediately apologized. His voice was soft and sincere. He reached for a napkin, hoping to clean the spill himself. But Grant Mercer wasn't interested in apologies. Years of arrogance, privilege, and unchecked anger exploded in a matter of seconds. He grabbed Elijah's jacket, shouted insults that caused customers to look away in embarrassment, and before anyone could react, he slapped the elderly veteran across the face with enough force to nearly knock him off the stool. The sound echoed through the diner. For several agonizing seconds, nobody moved. The waitress, Clara Jensen, rushed toward Elijah with tears in her eyes. The young cook behind the counter, 23-year-old Owen Reyes, instinctively kept recording on his phone, his hands shaking from shock. Several customers began shouting at Grant, demanding he stop. But Elijah didn't shout back. He simply adjusted his glasses with trembling fingers, wiped the blood from his lip, and quietly asked if someone could help him stand. Something about that moment broke the hearts of everyone watching. Then the front door opened. At first, nobody recognized the tall man entering the diner. He wore a dark suit and moved with a calm confidence that immediately commanded attention. Behind him walked two security personnel who quickly scanned the room. The man stopped when he saw Elijah. Everything changed. His expression shifted from confusion to horror. He rushed forward, dropping to one knee beside the elderly veteran. Witnesses later said they had never seen such raw emotion on a man's face. The son who had spent years protecting a nation was now staring at the father who had sacrificed everything to raise him. Marcus Brooks gently held his father's hand while listening to stunned witnesses explain what had happened. His jaw tightened. His eyes filled with tears. Yet he remained composed. Elijah, despite his pain, reached up and touched his son's face with a father's familiar tenderness. The entire diner watched in silence. Grant Mercer, who had moments earlier acted with absolute confidence, suddenly realized the gravity of what he had done. He recognized Marcus Brooks immediately. The color drained from his face. But Marcus did not raise his voice. Instead, he stood slowly and addressed everyone in the diner with remarkable calm. He thanked the witnesses who had helped his father. He thanked Owen for recording the incident. And then he said something nobody in that room would ever forget. He said that true strength wasn't measured by power, wealth, or authority. True strength was measured by how someone treated those who appeared powerless. Within hours, the video recorded by Owen spread across the country. Millions watched an elderly veteran endure humiliation with dignity and witnessed a powerful son respond not with revenge, but with honor. Grant Mercer faced legal consequences for his actions. But what affected him most wasn't the court ruling or public criticism. It was the image of Elijah Brooks refusing to hate him. Weeks later, after issuing multiple apologies, Grant visited Elijah personally. To everyone's surprise, Elijah agreed to meet him. During their private conversation, the elderly veteran shared stories of war, loss, forgiveness, and the importance of recognizing the humanity in every person. Grant left that meeting in tears. Over the following months, he funded veteran assistance programs throughout the state and spent countless hours volunteering at organizations that supported elderly veterans. Many believed he was trying to repair his public image. But Elijah knew something deeper had happened. A heart had changed. As spring turned into summer, Harper's Diner placed a framed photograph on the wall. It showed Elijah Brooks sitting proudly beside his son Marcus, both smiling quietly beneath a simple plaque that read, "Respect costs nothing, but its absence can cost everything." If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who believes compassion can still change lives. Special request, comment, honor and respect, below if you believe every veteran deserves dignity, kindness, and gratitude. And as Elijah Brooks would often say during his final years, the greatest victories in life are not won through power or revenge, but through the courage to remain kind when the world gives you every reason not to be.